Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the tropics. It is Sunday morning, October 29, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let's just take a look at what the US National Hurricane Center has posted on their 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. You can still see that we have Tammy right there to the east of Bermuda. You can see that area that had a medium chance of tropical cyclone development across the southwestern Atlantic to the north of the Dominican Republic now has a high chance, a 70% chance of development as it moves towards the northwest. And we can also see that we have a brand new area of possible tropical cyclone development across the central and western Caribbean that's pointed in a westward direction as well. You might remember in yesterday's video we had that area that was pointing to Jamaica's direction, and then it evaporated, it disappeared. And waking up this morning and seeing a brand new area right there across the central and western Caribbean, it looks to be like it's going to be passing to the south of us, but we still need to pay close attention as we could be indirectly affected. And it makes sense that that area across the Caribbean has a possible shot at development, usually in the first 10 days of November that we're closing in on, considering that today is the 29th of October. We usually see some amount of tropical cyclone development wherever we have those red dots, and we can see that definite portion of especially the western Caribbean is where we see some amount of tropical storm development across this time period. So it actually makes sense with what climatology shows, and with the sea surface temperature anomaly map still showing way above normal temperatures across the main development region and the Caribbean as indicated by those oranges and reds. Keep in mind that average water temperatures are usually in the whites, and then below normal temperatures are in the blues. So we're definitely in the above normal temperature range. We can also see that El Nino right there across the eastern Pacific, but that hasn't been having much of an effect across the Atlantic at all, especially considering that the Atlantic itself is very warm at this time, especially the Caribbean where we see even those reds. And we haven't had much systems taking advantage of that very warm sea surface temperature across the Caribbean, and it might just try and do that before the hurricane season wraps up on November 30th. And we should also keep in mind that the sea surface temperatures are not only it. The tropical cyclone heat potential, the waters are warm the deeper we go. And look at that across portions of the central and the western Caribbean. We have all of those reds, those burgundy colors, definitely gonna be warmer than normal. So even if we have a system across the Caribbean, it's gonna be churning up and sucking up all of that warm water, and even going deeper and churning up the water and sucking up even more warm water in order to make the storms stronger. So we need to pay close attention to what's happening. And if we even take a look at the wind shear map, we know the least amount of wind shear is represented by the whites, then the wind shear starts coming with some amount of blues, then the greens, the more intense it gets, yellows and the reds. And if we take a look at the same area that we have highlighted by the Hurricane Center over the next several days, we're going to see that that area is embedded in a lot of whites. Look at the central western Caribbean including Jamaica, a lot of whites taking shape across those spots for the first couple of days of November. And we even have an upper level high pressure that could develop across whatever develops in the western Caribbean. So it's definitely going to be quite favorable. And not only that, take a look at the Saharan dust forecast. The Saharan dust isn't even going to be making it to the Jamaica area or the central Caribbean area. What we see is the Saharan dust dwindling. We're seeing it losing that dark brown color, so it's gonna be a lighter shade by the time it gets to the eastern Caribbean in general. So we're not really that drastically affected. So we need to pay close attention to what exactly unfolds. And what the Euro model is showing for this system is that yes, we're going to be having a broad area of low pressure across the south central and western Caribbean, causing a lot of moisture. This is valid for early Thursday morning, November 2. We see a lot of moisture on the Euro model. What does the GFS show? And we're going to be looking at what the GFS is showing since the 12Z run yesterday, and take a look at what's happening. We see that area that's in the southwestern Atlantic maybe develops. We have the L, but what we're looking for is something tight, some yellow, some reds, and L with some black contour lines around it. That will show the area of low pressure. And what do we see developing? Look at that across the western Caribbean, and that's just the 12Z run right there. Let's take a look at the 18Z run, the run from yesterday evening. You can see that if we go out in time, look at that broad area of low pressure trying to tighten up to the south of Jamaica, and we are noticing that these models are showing something differently with each run. This is the 18Z run. Look at that. That's a crazy hurricane to the south of Jamaica by Sunday night, next week Sunday night right there. But we know that won't be coming to fruition, even making landfall across the island. This is why we have to stay close, have to pay close attention to what's happening to see exactly what unfolds, stay updated, and we have to take whatever these models are showing with a grain of salt, because they won't necessarily happen. Now we're looking at the 0Z run. This is from last night. Now we have something that makes more sense with what the Hurricane Center just showed. A system moving to the south of the island, and regardless of that, look at all of that green and even yellow coming into sections of the island. Definitely going to be bringing a lot of rainfall. That turn making it into portions of the Cayman Islands and Cuba. Then finally, we're about to look at the 6Z run, the one that just came out a couple of minutes ago. So now we're seeing more of a broad area of low pressure, not necessarily anything tightening up to become a tropical depression or storm at all. Either way, there's definitely going to be a lot of rainfall in store across the area for the next 10 days. This is the next 240 hours on the Euro model, and we do see a lot of colors right there, close to even up to 10 inches of rainfall, especially across Central America. And we do see that across portions of the Caribbean, including eastern Jamaica. This is for the next 10 days. Let us see what the GFS model is showing. Something similar, especially across sections of eastern Jamaica. A lot of colors that represent a lot of rainfall. So the rainfall totals are definitely going to be high as we step into the month of November. So we need to pay close attention to what's happening with this possible system that the Hurricane Center has highlighted, so that we're not caught off guard. And I'll be here to keep you updated as we go along. Alright, so that's it for the look at the tropics. Let's just take a look at what's happening across Jamaica for this morning. Let's reload these images so that I have the latest. So we can see that we have some amount of clouds bringing some isolated showers and overcast skies to sections of eastern Jamaica. So definitely sections of Portland, maybe even spilling into St. Mary for this morning. And we can see on the infrared satellite images those high level clouds being pushed off towards the north, just like what we mentioned in yesterday's video. We didn't predict any rainfall for the morning across Jamaica, but there's definitely going to be some amount of rainfall across sections of northern Jamaica during the afternoon. If you missed yesterday's video, you can go and watch that to see exactly what unfolds. And we can also see on the Cuban Doppler radar images that rainfall that we just mentioned on the satellite images. Definitely sections of Portland getting in on some amount of rainfall right now. And we'll take all the rainfall that we can get in the month of October before we start to dwindle down in November. Then we step into our dry month from December to April. Alright, so that's it. Stay tuned for another video later this evening. Thanks for watching.